The man you're looking at is named Pete Shrum. He's a hardworking 61-year-old Korean War veteran with a wife and 3 children, and he's about to experience something that no innocent human being should ever have to go through. I'll show you the footage, but first, I'm gonna have to give you some context. Upon returning back to America after the Korean War, the young sergeant would have to build a life for himself. He returned home to his wife Mary, whom he had married just before the war, and somewhere along the line he would end up working in the insurance industry. Pete stayed in insurance for the majority of his career and created a respectable life for himself in his home state of Texas, having 3 children with Mary and being a well-loved local in his community. Later on in his career, as he got a bit older, he worked as a clerk at a gas station in Mesquite, Texas, where he was set to retire in June of 1993. The footage you're watching takes place in March of 1993, just 3 months before his planned retirement. This night was by all accounts a very routine night on the job for Pete. Ring people out for fuel and 99-cent treats, keep things tidy, and take any phone calls that may have come in. Somewhere along the line though, things took a very dark turn. The footage starts with one of his regular customers, Peggy Wells, coming in to pay for a tank of gas. Pete tells her what she owes, and Peggy quickly realizes she forgot her purse, prompting her to run back out of the store and grab it.
I'm trying to read tanks.
I thought you forgot me.
No, I usually start. Usually it takes about 20 minutes. I've got 6, 8, I got 48. I got to put the gallons in the.
I got to go out the car and get my other purse.
Okay, got the wrong pair? All right.
Nothing about this was out of the ordinary until another customer walked in while Peggy was running to her car. This next customer begins talking to Pete, and as he's doing so, you can see a different man waiting right outside of the door. And I'm sure by now you can probably see where this is going. While the man at the counter distracted Pete, the individual who was waiting outside takes his opportunity and rushes in, pulling a gun on Pete and demanding that he opens the register. Pete complied without a hitch, quickly opening the machine, but unfortunately there was one problem. The register only had $18 in it. This highly aggravated the armed criminal, resulting in him making the most disturbing choice he could have possibly made in this moment. He shot Pete 3 times in his abdomen before they both panic and run off with the money. On the way out, he'd fire a couple more shots and hit Peggy in the shoulder as she was walking back in with her money, but interestingly, Peggy didn't even feel this at all and she had no idea she was hit until after. She was too focused on whether or not Pete was okay. Upon entering, she would get her answer and quickly leave to get help. The remainder of the footage is absolutely vile, and it bothered me a lot. He laid there helplessly and started to experience the infamous death rattle, moaning and snoring until he went quiet. I simply can't risk showing you guys this audio, but there are age-restricted YouTube videos of this, and you can find them super easily, if you're above 18. A nurse happened to be nearby shortly thereafter, but it was already too late. First responders would arrive and come to the same conclusion. Thanks to the CCTV footage, the hunt would end as quickly as it started for these 2 deranged criminals. They were also found to be associated with countless other robberies in the area in the years prior. The man talking to Pete at the counter was identified as 22-year-old Wayne Hampton, and the one who took Pete Shrum's life was Wayne's accomplice and younger uncle, 18-year-old Anthony Bernard Hampton, also nicknamed Elmo. This dude was nicknamed after a f***ing Muppet. They were promptly sentenced to life in prison and had to serve 35 years until they'd be eligible for parole in 2028. Also, they were spared the death penalty despite everyone involved pushing for it. Thankfully, at least for the shooter, he won't be anytime soon, as in 2022, this dude attempted to sexually assault a public servant while locked up, and when it didn't work, just straight up assaulted them. So that added another 20 years to his sentence. It hurts me a lot to see what happened to this poor man, and I hope his family has found peace in the years since. It's just so unnecessary, and hearing those noises make it absolutely gutting. I've heard that somewhere around 25% of robbery victims who comply still become victims of violence, but I was unable to vet that, so take it with a grain of salt. In this entry, we're going to do things a bit differently. I'm going to show you the entire video first, and then we'll break down the backstory and whether or not the man we see ends up surviving. It's a video that took place in the Philippines in a gas station parking lot where 2 cars full of people show up and kidnap a seemingly innocent man who is seen walking through the parking lot. Just a heads up, his screams are pretty tough to listen to. The video begins with nothing out of the ordinary occurring, but at a certain point we begin to see a man walking through the lot. When he's about halfway across, two vehicles pull up. The group of individuals inside hop out and rush this man, forcing him into one of the vehicles as he yells "Talong," which is Tagalog for the word help. It's a pretty disturbing video, but did we ever find out what happened here? Well, the answer is yes, we absolutely know what happened here. This wasn't just some random pedestrian, this was a man named Eugene Del Rosario, and he belonged to a criminal enterprise which name translates to broken car. They're known for breaking into parked vehicles and, in many cases, forcing people to give up items and cash from inside their cars. This is no small operation, and these guys are not good people by any means. Before all this took place, Eugene had given a statement to the police naming all of his group members, which they would find out and absolutely not be happy with. There's no shortage of bad actors in these police departments, so it's likely someone internal had tipped off the group. Just after arriving from Manila, he was kidnapped in a gas station parking lot, and the story doesn't get any better from there. His body was found in the days following, and he was laying in a ditch with his hands and head wrapped in packaging tape. He was shot twice, one in the back of the head and one in his back. Executions and organized crime are no uncommon thing, especially in developing countries. It's a brutal game and everyone within it knows the code. Witnesses identified two of the men in the footage, and it led to 7 people being charged for what was caught on the closed-circuit television footage. When we think back to the horrible events of September 11th, 2001, the internet isn't exactly one of the first things that come to mind. It was obviously around back then, but it wasn't like every person had their phones out recording and posting on Instagram. There were, however, many different forums around that time, and a lot of them had huge user bases. Today, I wanted to look at what is possibly the first thread to ever report the attacks on the internet. It was posted to New York Magazine's breaking news forum just 1 minute after the North Tower was struck. That's right, the North Tower was struck at 8:46 a.m. and at 8:47 a.m., Echo founder Stacey Horn made this startling post. Let's explore the transcript and I'll pop back in now and again. A plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. Oh my god, I'm shaking. A plane just went by my window. It was flying way too low and I was thinking, how ironic. I wrote about this in my book and it crashed. Oh god, people are dead now. Where did you hear? I have the Today Show on and no bulletin. I saw it just happened. Too soon for radio and TV. There's a huge f***ing hole in the side of the World Trade Center. What kind of plane was it? I think I heard the crash all the way up here. Oh god. It was a jet. A big jet. It's on AM 820. NPR's FM signal has been knocked out and an eyewitness is now speaking. Apparently it was an American Airlines jet. A real commercial airplane. Someone guessed that it was a 737. I can't see the photos. Does it seem possible anyone survived the crash? Whoa, just turned on the TV. That is one huge hole. My housemate's brother just called his family to tell them he escaped okay. He works just a few floors below. He was there? Holy f***. It's some absolutely unbelievable stuff to read in real time. And this spans through the entire series of events, not just the beginning. 17 minutes after the first plane hit, the South Tower would be struck, and this is where you really see people start to realize that it's a targeted attack. The panic really starts to build, and although it's just texture reading, you can literally feel it through the screen. A reporter is now saying that there was a second explosion in the second building? Holy sh**, explosion in the other tower. The second building just exploded. The plane must have exploded. The news anchor is saying, did you see another plane crash into the second building? A second plane hit the other building. I had the mistaken idea that it was still early morning. I'm oblivious, but I now realize there must be thousands of people at work in there right now. I can't believe this. What? 2 planes, 1 target at each tower. They feel they were loaded with bombs. Is this a terrorist attack? The first plane looked like a commercial jet. Yeah, the second plane clearly hit deliberately. It happened live on CNN. So the planes are stuck inside the buildings right now, right? I feel ill, Jesus Christ. Looks like about 10 floors in each building are gone. I just saw it on CNN. It's absolutely unbelievable. Oh god, they just said a jet had been hijacked. We've been attacked. I have a friend who thinks her children are there. Grown children. Adults who work there. She's trying to reach them now. I'm in shock and shaking. Oh god, this was terrorism? Oh no, I can't believe you actually saw this, Stacy. Holy shit, my mother works at the World Trade Center. I'm stunned. Oh god, fish. What's even scarier to think about is that they still have no idea the worst is about to come. The contemplation and panic continues for another 56 minutes until the South Tower collapses entirely. And just like the second plane hitting, people were on it within the minute. The top of the tower just collapsed. Oh god, it's collapsing. There was a credible threat made against the White House, hence the evacuations. The top, it collapsed. Oh my god, one of the towers just collapsed. Subways are closed, a third explosion in the World Trade Center area. It fell to the ground, oh god. This has been a living hell for those people in there. The whole building. Throughout the rest of the day, the debate, the fear, and the questions would only make themselves more apparent. It's a really interesting read, and if you want to go through it yourself, I put it down in the description. Also, on a positive note, at the very end of the thread, there was an update confirming that the user's mother was contacted and she was okay. So, amidst all the chaos, at least that part was wholesome to read. Also, huge shout out to Between Two Towers, the founder of the 9/11 archive. Almost all the information on 9/11 related topics that I use comes from their subreddit, and it's an incredibly cataloged domain of information. I highly recommend joining this subreddit if you're interested in the preservation aspect, or if you're just looking to learn something new. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this type of dark material, please consider liking and subscribing, but if not, that's okay too. I upload 2 or 3 videos like this every week, and I appreciate you watching nonetheless.